Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, I am not on my main setup, so we are going to be having a little bit lower quality videos. Maybe the audio or some background noise or just the efficiency, even because I'm on a laptop. And it is what it is. But listen, we should be back for tomorrow's videos already. They should be normal or 2 days from now. So yeah, and we are also pack-a-punching the main setup, so there should be an improvement in the quality of videos and a few other things that I won't mention just yet. Listen, ICP had a surge in price today. That's the main thing we are going to discuss this video. We can see if we take it roughly from the bottom somewhere over here, right to the top, we surged 25%, if not even a little bit more. All right, let me zoom in a little bit. Boom, something like this. Okay, in the daily. Yeah, so roughly 25%. Now, here is the deal, right? Some people believe that this is the start of a reversal. Some people believe this is a fake out. And in this video, we are just going to be discussing what exactly does this mean. When we go and look at the most recent market structure, we can see that yes, we got wrecked on Friday, October 10th. It was an amazing day if you were able to buy some of these bottoms, but most exchanges did not let us because they're all sketchy and kind of scammy at the end of the day. And that's just the truth, right? That is just the truth. But we can see after that, we were creating some type of structure. And overall, we have been consistently on the daily forming lower and lower lows. So we have a low over here. When we go over here, we have a lower low. We can see this point is lower. And just in case you are confused, it's the bottom of the red candle. So we can see this one closes above or roughly around $3. This one is at $3.03. Yes, it does make a difference. And yes, you do have to pay attention to these small details. So we can see that we are consistently going lower and lower in terms of the lows, right? We have these lows over here. We did have a high over here, right? And then we had a higher high. So that could have been the start of a potential shift. But the thing is, just because we had a high over here, boom, and a high over here, it doesn't necessarily mean that the reversals are going to come in. Okay, that's just the truth. Why? Because we would need a higher low over here. We would need a high, we need a low somewhere down here, just so we can start forming this staircase type of pattern, right? Boom, 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 something like this, right? This point would be higher than this one. It would be the start of reversals because we would have a higher point, we would have a higher high and a higher low at this point, but we don't. Okay, so this higher low got invalidated. So we are back to kind of square one. Now, here's the deal, right? We did have a huge pump today, 25% or so. And I did say overall, it doesn't matter if we pump too much because the truth is we have to close above 372 to start getting the shift in market structure, right? These are the swing points. Generally speaking, right, these are swing points at the top one here, and these are the bottom ones. Okay, so we can clearly see every time we had a low swing point, it got lower and lower and lower each time. When we have a high swing point, it hasn't really got contested too much until today. We can see that we did kind of instantly sell off when we did pump up, right? The next 4-hour candle kind of created a doji candle off of this zone over here, boom, and we can see we are selling off a little bit. Now, we aren't having the most amount of selling pressure. I do think there's going to be one more little surge to upside. However, if we do see a rejection off this, then we are simply going to go lower. We are at a very awkward time frame because we are on a Saturday, right? We are on a Saturday. The new monthly candle just opened as well. And not only that, but we are also like midway, a little bit more than midway through the weekly candle, right? We're already on a Saturday, but we're in a very, very awkward time zone or time frame because like I said, we're like more than halfway on the weekly, but we're at the start of a new monthly and we're also on a Saturday. So yeah, very, very awkward. Overall, I expect ICP to continue to go lower. Any type of short movement is probably going to be any type of up movement is probably going to be very, very short lived, right? we have still a couple hours until the daily candle closes. But as of right now, even if we would close somewhere here, this wouldn't really move the needle too much because the swing point still hasn't got taken out. And you know what? Sure, it would, in this little zone over here, it would be a higher high, once again, higher than this 331 zone. But then we would have to see how we react because, okay, sure, if we come back down here, and we do kind of respect this general area because it is kind of a support, and let's say we do form a higher low, okay, then we can start having conversation of us potentially coming back up to contest these high areas over here once again, right? These high areas once again. But like I said, there's still a couple of hours left for the daily candles to officially be closing. In general, when we go and look at the higher time frame, the monthly, right, we are extremely weak overall. I kind of expect the rest of 2025 to be weak, but look, right, generally speaking, this time overall now and the next few weeks are going to be the prime buying time. If you're going to be buying down in these lows, I do truly believe it is worth the risk, in my personal opinion. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, and you always have to do your own research, but logically speaking, right, if you do believe there's going to be an altcoin season, if you do believe there's going to be a surge in price, and even let's say you do believe we can come back to contest these highs of this range, then you are literally buying at near the bottoms, right? You are literally buying near the bottoms. What are we at? 339. So let's just say 340 more or less, right? 341 upwards of here, right? You would be looking at almost 6.25 times your money, right? Even if we come back to a zone like here, boom, right? Kind of off these bottoms, somewhere in the middle. Yes, it's on a very low end range, but the point is, it's like you're kind of fairly safe in the zone, right? Even were to come back up here, you would make 4.4 times your money. So even if things were underwhelming for ICP, the point is that you're buying at such low prices that the risk isn't even as high as people think. Sure, in theory, every crypto can go to zero, but let's be honest, that only ever happens for complete scam coins or maybe meme coins. But even then, meme coins still usually see some type of lifeline, of course, or unless we're talking about those meme coins that get to 50K market cap or 20K market cap. That's a different story. But ICP, right, this thing is at almost 2 billion market cap. This is a real coin. This is a titan of a coin. We can see over the last 24 hours, we actually have gone up 200% in volume. In general, over the last month, we are down 25%. In the last week, we're up 10%. In the last day, we're up 17.25%. Because yes, we did peak a little bit higher, but we have come down now. We still see we are on multiple exchanges. Everything is still good on that end. But yeah, for me, this doesn't move the needle too much. I overall expect altcoins to be going lower and lower, generally speaking. Even ICP does come up a little bit higher. We still have this whole resistance zone to really retest off of, right? So that's the thing. This is the main zone we have to flip. We have to flip and start closing above $4, $4.25, somewhere there. We could also see in terms of a trend line, right, we have to really try to break out of this, right? So this would be kind of the start, okay, if we really want to see reversals. Now, here's the thing, the more you wait for confirmations and reversals, the higher price you're going to get in at, but the more confirmations you have. So once we start seeing something like this, then we should be fine, right? Then we should be fine. But I still think there's going to be one more fake out to the downside before we officially start going to the upside. But that is ultimately it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy. I love you guys so much. Let me know what you think of ICP. I lied, the video is not ending. I'm going to answer some questions. Right? Do I still think ICP will come back and to at least $20? Yes. Do I think ICP will come back and on the low end, right, in an altcoin season, hit $34, $35? Yes, absolutely. There's an institutional candle right here. There's a bigger resistance here. This makes more sense. We'd be probably looking at to take out the 2025 highs, the 2024 highs, even the 2022 highs, right? Oh, I guess this one's a little bit higher. So I would say at least upwards of $40 is what I expect for ICP on the low end. So over a 10x from here. But overall, I do expect ICP still to hit that $70 range. If we were just to 20x from here, that would be roughly the $20 range, and that would be less than 40 billion market cap. That would be 36 billion market cap, which I think in the peak of altcoins, that is more than realistic, especially that there's more and more adoption money this cycle. That is ultimately it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.